I haven't heard the second disc.
Oh, I can edit that out, no problem.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair to say I've heard a lot of music. I mean, I've probably heard. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how much of it is new material and how much of it is stuff that he had been woodshedding for a while and just wanted to get out, kind of thing.
Okay.
So I was going to say it's likely that I've heard some of it in demo form or whatever. But I actually never sat down and listened to the second disc. I think like I was saying before, I'm not so much of a voracious, like, feed me everything music guy. I would rather, I kind of like, I don't want to say pick and choose, but I think hearing Empath and everything that is, was enough for the, you know, I was like, what else you got? You know, it was like, okay, cool. I'm good with that for a minute.
I'm
like,
trying to digest this.
Yeah, well, it's like you watch Lord of the Rings or, like, you know, one of those movies, when the credits start to roll, you aren't like, okay, so, like, you know, what's the director's cut? Or like, well, I wonder what they cut out. Or you're just like, wow, that was insane. I think I need to, like, go sleep for a week or whatever.
Yeah.
To process this. I mean, in a good way. And yeah, and then I think actually legitimately, I just forgot that there was another album. I don't know. To me, I think also, like I know there was a second Epic Cloud album. I don't know. Was there a second Transcendence? Yeah, there was a second Transcendence album. For me, the album, like the main album, is the intent and is like what is the thing. Yeah. Then the second one is more like, and I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but is the second one is like, and here's a bunch of demos, which I just want to get out into the world because they're not fitting this vibe, but I also don't want to hang on to them. And, you know, here's another 10 songs. And for people who just, again, are voracious listeners and love his music, it works great. But, those second albums are always kind of off my radar, I guess. Yeah.
Well,
but I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. I like the way he does it with the two albums now, as opposed to when he did it with the project and the whole, the 4 albums as one project, you know, the Key, Addicted, and he came out with the Contain Us box set afterwards. The thing about that, though, is that it's got legitimately one of my favorite Devin Townsend songs of all time, and 2 turntables and a Mike St. Jean.
Right. Well, there are those gems that come out of these second albums. Sure.
What in the hell? Did you have any input in that? What is going on with that song? Because I love that.
Well, I like to think I influenced it a little bit. Yeah.
Got 2 turntables and a Mike St. Jean. Got so many, this song 6 hours long. Band can't play in the flugelhorn.
St. John beating off watching porn.
His suits be wrinkled, but he trying them on.
Them cool glasses make the ladies horn.
Chest hairs puffing out to and from.
Rocking by the tomb of the Tutankhamun.
That was the story of that. We were recording Deconstruction at the Factory Studio in Vancouver. Dirk Verburen, Soilwork, now Megadeth drummer, played on Deconstruction. So he's in town. Dirk is like, just hilarious and wonderful, and obviously an insanely good drummer. And him and Devin just had like the best time recording that record, because their humor, I think, is pretty similar, and they're both just really lighthearted guys, and also musically they connected really well, I think, on that, obviously. And we're in the studio, and I don't know how that started, but they just were. I think it was even, I don't even think I was there. They just started rhyming into the phone or something, 2 turntables and a Mike St. Jean, and all those different rhymes. And then Dirk was actually the one who took it and put the beat on it. And like I think Dirk actually produced produce it, as it were, musically. But it was just them, just thinking everything they could come up with into a phone while driving home after the studio or whatever. Yeah. And there it is. And then apparently it got released, which is hilarious.
It's amazing. They're cracking up throughout the whole song. So it's...
Yeah, it's that is a spirit lifter of a tune, I guess.
You've also worked, like you'd mentioned previously, with John Carpenter. What were you doing with that, and how did that connection come about?
That I don't want to. I'm giving away my process too much by saying that I legitimately say yes to anything and then figure out how to make it work. But I met John Carpenter's tour assistant, production assistant, on Generation Axe, and she reached out to me and said, like, hey, we need a lighting guy to replace our lighting designer. Are you available? And it was like, this is the technology that they're using. And I was like, sick. I've never used any of this before. But I'm not going to not take this gig. So I was, well, that's a bit of an exaggeration. Like, I had used the console before, but it was just, I'd been using a different lighting console for years and had invested all of my time and money into like that, think of like Mac versus PC or whatever. So I was just really hip to one kind of console, and this was a different kind of console. And I wasn't unfamiliar with it. I was a little bit of a noob with it, more than I probably should have been when I said that I was totally into it. And they must have been desperate, because here I am talking to their lighting designer who's like, all right, I guess you're the guy. So I went to, that was wild too, because I flew to LA. I had one day where the lighting designer is a brilliant guy, and he had Dan Hadley works for Tenacious D and the Foo Fighters and stuff.
Oh wow!
Really, yeah, brilliant and nice and funny, and we share similar political views, which is great.
That helps.
It helps, yeah. He showed me the ropes of how to hang this forced perspective, like shark tooth gauze and screen combination that they were projecting everything on. And so we spent a day learning that and learning how to map the different layers of the video to this thing and how that was going to work from the laptop and all this. And then we spent one day going through the show file and sort of him showing me how everything needed to work and where everything was and blah, blah, blah. And then I immediately flew. So I was in LA for 2 days, did that, immediately flew to the UK and did like a week of touring with Anathema. I think we did 8 shows or something, with a completely like this other projection mapping thing that Vinny and I had kind of developed together. And we had a really great string of these. It was called the ambient acoustic or something, ambient electronic tour that was, I think, supposed to start with just like them acoustically, but ended up as this, it was like full band extravaganza with this sick video projection thing. So that was awesome. Yeah, that was such a great tour. And then had to go back into this John Carpenter thing and remember what I had been taught over 2 days, like a week and a half prior. Yeah. And
oh my gosh,
those guys are so nice, that crew, and that like the musicians and the crew and everyone was so nice. It really was a dream. And we did like a movie festival in Spain somewhere. Oh, wow. And just these cool, like some kind of cool venues. Yeah. And it's just such a chill vibe because everybody's just there to basically watch John Carpenter and his family play the soundtracks to his movies. It was super. Yeah, it was really great. That's awesome. That was a highlight for sure.
You also now you're actually creating your own music as well. So if you go to your website, you have an EP available. When do you have time to write and record music?
I make so much music, I just never finish it. I have just an untold amount of demos, and the problem is it's spreading across laptops and hard drives and different DAWs, and like I'm starting to lose track of it for sure. But I'm really, it was actually 10 years ago. 10 years ago, basically today, oddly. What's the date today? 10 years ago, maybe 10 days ago, that I put this album, an EP out. Yeah, with a terrible name. It was meant to be project, like projecting music or lights or emotions or energy or whatever. But obviously that's spelled the same as project. And there's a lot of things called project. So didn't Google search that one.
Only one's got a capital J, though.
Yeah, but the searches aren't case sensitive, I don't think.
That's true.
And then I want to do a K. I didn't want to do like a K or like a 3 for the E or anything, So
a little too King Crimson-y at that point.
Yeah, or also I think it was around that time everyone was hating on like all these bands with numbers, Blink-182, Sum 41.
Oh yeah,
S44, all this. But yeah, that came out about 10 years ago.
Really?
No, 9.
Still, that's pretty crazy because I was listening to it because I just recently subscribed to your newsletter and got the EP is available for free if you do that. So I did take that advantage of that and get the download. And I was listening to a couple songs like Hiding the Stars, and it's got some of the songs have a really interesting what turns out now to be a Stranger Things type of vibe to them.
Cool.
Little 80s synth. You got like Hiding the Stars has this like 80s synth, new age jazzy kind of thing to it. And to me, Canyon and Sky kind of sounds like it could be an Alan Parsons song.
Sick. I'll take it.
That's like I think that's my favorite song on the EP so far.
I think that's kind of like Hiding the Stars would have been the lead single, even though it's 7 minutes long and it's a little more like groovy or something. But Canyon and Sky, I think, was sort of the winner of those 5 songs. I like the last 2 songs too. Good. Fourth one's a bit of a sleeper, and I really like the first one. It's just too short.
Yeah,
but I think that's kind of the point of it.
It's like what? It's under 2 minutes, like 1:45 or something, I think, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of like a teaser of. I like it. I like it as just a bit of a feel good brain teaser. It's kind of a slow build, and then there's just too much going on, and then it's done. And I kind of like that about it.
And
I really want to get singer on that, but I haven't yet asked any of the people I've had in mind.
Well, like By Southwest and Altitude in Motion sound like they could fit almost in the Casualties of Cool album.
You mean musically or title-wise?
Musically, and actually kind of title-wise, By Southwest at least.
Sure.
I think maybe more Altitude in Motion than By Southwest, because that sounds to me a little bit like early Satch or Vi maybe, but I definitely hear some Casualties of Cool in the ambiance and the songs. And speaking of that, I did throw out on some social media that I was having you on and asked some people if they had any questions for you, and I got a few. Che Dorval said just to say hello and she loves you. So, hi
Che, see you soon.
So she didn't have any questions for you. She didn't actually give me any stories to ask you about either. But it's okay. I'll take it.
Yeah, you originally said you wanted funny stories and stuff, and that I was like, man, I do not have funny. I'm not a funny story guy. Like I make people laugh on occasion, but I'm not like the hey, do that again kind of thing. I shut down. So I have no stories. Well, if we hang out long enough, you'll get some stories. But
I may be able to.
Yeah.
I got a couple things here. Ryan Van Poederoyen also chimed in and told me to ask you a couple things.
Sick.
He wants to know why you guys call the DTP tour buses fart tubes.
Because
I can kind of guess why, but
yeah, because when you put 12 or 14 humans in this little tin can for just the diet. I think it was Paul from Between the Buried and Me. The 2 bands were touring together, and they were doing this Q&A thing, and somebody somebody asked something I can't remember, and Paul, God, I can't remember his last name, but the guitar player from Pt.2 is saying, he's like, I don't know what it is about being on tour, but things that I would never do at home seem completely reasonable on the road, such as eating an entire bag of Doritos or not Doritos, Oreos. I mean, Doritos, same thing. I would actually eat like an entire bag of Doritos, like a weirdo, but like eating a whole box of Oreos at 3:00 in the morning and then going to sleep and thinking like, this is fine. So when you multiply like habits like that times 12 people and often not enough time to find a shower in the day, and then getting in a room the size, I can't even think like how small. There's 14 people in the space of like 14 coffins next to each other, kind of thing, right? And then, times like an 8-hour drive when we've all just had breakfast, lunch, and dinner in El Paso, Texas, or something like that. The stench that's going to come out of us is intense.
He also wanted me to ask you. He said you guys had certain acknowledgments with each other when you did the lights and then later on when you played on stage together.
Yeah. It did start when I was at front of house, and it was because a lot of people don't notice, and I'll try to pick up on things that the drummer in particular does every night. And so like especially if it's something off the record, something unique from the record that they're doing differently live, and they'll do the same thing every night. Like off the top of my head, in March of the Poozers, and he would do like a bass drum. I don't know if you can hear this, but he'd go like and he like double bass drum through one of the bar into the next thing, and he would do it in the exact same place every night. It was not on the record, and so I would program the lights. That was one where I was playing at that point, and I would program the lights to also do that along with him. But when I was at front of house, I would catch things like that too, and he actually noticed, and then we started like acknowledging like, hey, and I feel like there was one song where he would like sometimes do it or not, and I feel like he was literally like psyching me out across the venue like during the show. He's like, gotcha. Which is funny because then the entire room is like, what is going on right now? And just him and I are like hysterically laughing across from each other. There was that one, and then there was that was a fun one, was in Ziltoid Goes Home. I think that was the one. It was interesting how for a band that tried to not plan anything, things would end up kind of like getting worked out, where Beav and Dave would like do something together, and then Beav and Dave and Ryan would do something together, and then Dave would come over and he and I would headbang or whatever. So there's little things like that kind of just play out over like multiple tours, which is fun. I wanted to come back to the fart tube thing really quickly and say that I heard the other day, and I don't know if this is true, but I would love to have this fact checked, that the worst job in the airline industry is the crew that have to open the plane door when it lands after like a 12-hour Atlantic flight. Apparently the stench when you open the door to this tube that has like 300 people farting in it for 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever is something to behold.
I would have
thought that they would circulate that out. Yeah. So now someone, planted that in my brain, and I like to believe that it's true. I really hope it's true.
Somebody follow me and let us know the answer to that question, because now that's going to be my name.
Yeah. If you've ever been the person to open the plane door when it lands, I want to know. Does it smell like a fart tube, or is it like, jasmine scented somehow?
Now, Ryan, speaking of that, now you kind of segued into the last thing Ryan wanted me to ask you about. He said you guys had some interesting border crossings. Now, he's not telling me any of these answers. He's just saying, ask him about some interesting border crossings we had. Ha ha.
Oh man, I'm not gonna go into it. I think that interesting border crossings are the kind of stories I might tell people in person, but I don't know.
Not on a recorded podcast.
I don't know if I need to go into it. Yeah. Suffice it to say, sometimes border crossings are really easy. It's not anything that we that we did, or like, whatever. It's just sometimes you kind of have, there was that one time that, but it was all going super smooth. And, as the border guard was getting off the bus, like they came on, hey everyone, like, okay, you're crossing, like fine. And we're not getting a hard time. And they were like walking off the bus, and somebody, I'll say in quotes, farted, like ripped a fart, and just wasn't thinking, right? And just kind of like pushed it out, and it was like an air horn. And they're just like, all right, everybody off the bus. And we all had to go in and sit in the waiting room and get processed and all this stuff. Like, we almost got through. Yeah. But border crossings, just as you said that, it brings a cloud over my head, because it's rarely enjoyable. And I get it. There's reasons for it to, not be a really fun experience, but it's just not a fun experience. And I'm just getting anxiety about it either way.
And I'm sure tour buses are targeted to be searched and checked out and scrutinized very heavily.
Yeah, they can be. I think it's all about, the attitude of everyone going through, like just having your shit together and being polite and professional and not doing stupid things. Yeah.
A few more fan questions, and then I'll promise I'll let you have the rest of your evening here. Tabascorito wanted to know if you do music videos.
I made all of the visuals for our DTP stuff. I was looking at the glut of like since 2011. So 2011 till 2017, basically, or 16. We did stop doing video at one point, didn't we? But there's about 5 years there where I was making the videos for pretty much everything. If not making, then like overseeing or having to edit, make sure it lines up and all this stuff. And in that time span, we did all 4 DTP, like Key Addicted, Deconstruction, and Ghost. We did for that show. We did Retinal Circus, which had a whole bunch of custom content. We did the Brixton Academy, which was Periphery, Meshuggah, and Devin Townsend, which what a great lineup. We had custom content for that, a bunch of different screens. We did Royal Albert Hall. We did Ocean Machine. We did, plus just like all of the songs that we did over all of those years, there was a video, like a visual element for every single one of those. So yes, I have made, plus we did ZTV, and we actually made 2 versions of that. I don't know how well traveled the original version of ZTV was, but I don't know if you recall, before the Z2 album came out, we had like 3 online episodes.
Yeah.
Ziltoid, right? Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. That actually, I met so many and like really solidified a lot of relationships on that set, like with Mike Zimmer, Chris Devitt, who built those, a lot of those puppets, and Stephen Depko, who built the set, like such a talented and amazing human being. He's the kind of guy where we don't really talk that much, but every time I'm in his area code, I call him up and we hang out and we have like an amazing time.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, and I don't know why I went down that path, but hi Steve, if you're listening, I miss you. We made those 3 videos, but actually before we did that, call it higher budget version, we did another version in a much smaller studio with just like 3 or 4 of us, a much smaller set. And I put like a punishing amount of time into making the little stream that comes down. And we had all of these segments, and it was like really a labor of love, emphasis on labor. And we weren't going to use it for anything. And I was just like, oh my God, it's my life. But then it did get released on something. I can't remember what it got released on though. It might've been even on no, it wasn't on Ocean Machine. It got released on something though, but there's a whole other Ziltoid episodic series out there with not the original Ziltoid and not the Ziltoid that you saw sort of with the Z2 album, but this other Ziltoid in the middle.
Transitional Ziltoid.
Yeah, how's that for a deep cut? I really want to watch those again. That was also like, I don't know, like if you're familiar when Devin goes off with his humor, it's just like a train that you cannot stop, and it's hilarious and and cringe all at the same time. And that guy, when he goes off, I mean, obviously we've all heard it when he goes off on these stream of consciousness rants. It can be incredible, and then to take that and turn it into like Ziltoid monologues with this side screen showing like kind of like that on talk shows where they show the screen like a picture of what they're talking about or whatever.
Yes.
Beside their head, like we had that going, and it was just tremendous. Oh. And I don't know if all the material made it in there, but it was pretty great. I'm gonna have to go find that actually.
Yeah, I want to do some deep diving on that too. It's been a while since I've actually looked at any of the Ziltoid videos.
This is Commander Ziltoid the Omniscient reporting yet again to the collective.
Two more.
Well, that's probably not on YouTube. But yes, long story longer, I make videos. Anybody wants to be made, let's figure it out.
All right, two more from the listeners. Let's see. Oxidizer wants to know in future projects or bands that you would like to tour with.
I am trying desperately to finish music. I keep sidetracking myself.
With work.
With work apparently, and then like not working, and not. I don't know. These projects have got spread across so many. I'm looking around the room now, like all of the different, literally in one room, workstations with different things going on just because my brain's falling apart. But
you keep saying yes.
Well, there's that, and I like all of these. I love all these things that I'm doing. But Dave Young and I tracked drums for a bunch of songs that, when I did that Anathema thing, I was the tour with the projection mapping right before the John Carpenter thing. I actually did a bit of like a live performance. I use that word lightly, of some demos that I was working on.
Oh, cool.
So it looked like I was just on stage checking my email, but there was music coming out, and I was like playing along on keys and like launching some samples and stuff.
Cool.
So I went and tracked the drums with Dave Young for that, and so I just need to comp together the different performances to get the arrangement that I want. I find that I write demos, and then when I track drums, it allows it to finally start solidifying. And in that process, I end up rearranging everything. It's kind of an ass backwards way of doing things, but there it is. So I need to sit down and do that. And there's some people that I really want to work with for mixing and maybe contributing some ideas, but that's all. Yeah, I need to kind of just take like a month and bash that out at some point, but I'm constantly working on another project, which I guess is good, bad news.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had really actually intended to try to get it out for now, but it is now and it's not out. So I'm going to say next spring or something. Dave and I are always threatening to do some more stuff together. I've got a really good friend and collaborator who actually contributed quite a bit to that original Project Alchemist EP, which really needs a renaming and a re-releasing. But Math, Marley Rosen in Toronto has a bunch of monikers. Math Rosen's Liars Rosebush was actually like some brilliant stuff from ages ago, but I think it's still just like great writing and really good producing. They're a really good producer. And they then had a project called Adavale, Adavale,
okay,
where they were singing more, which was really interesting. Kind of like, I want to say almost Bowie-esque singing style. I wonder if they would agree with that. And just really interesting. They're always doing really interesting production and like songwriting, and I always just really appreciate what they're doing, and I hope that we can collaborate again soon. If you're listening, hopefully on this record again, because they really helped me get my ideas like out. I'm stuck in my head a lot, as you may be able to hear in these conversations. Yeah. Music on the way at some point.
Good.
Also audio visual stuff. I'm kind of working on that too, but that's
Oh, cool.
We'll see.
Well, and along those veins, Wraithfire wants to know, for people who want to support you, what's the best way to do so? Because they see that you don't really have any projects on Bandcamp to buy or Patreon or anything like that. So what's the best way to support you in your musical and video endeavors?
That's it's really kind to even anyone say that they'd like to. That's nice of them to say. I guess when I put something out, then get it in how, even just listen to it and talk about it. That would be sick. That's cool. That's inspiring and gets me to want to finish some of this music, because it is great when people are like, hey, that was cool. I like that. That meant something to me. It makes me feel like I'm not just doing it for my own, lots of weird reasons, but, I don't have a Patreon. I think the Alchemist album is still available on Bandcamp. I think you can find that link through my website, or you can sign up to the newsletter and download it and share it with your friends. That's cool too. The goal is world domination. And by world domination, I mean everybody listening to the sounds that I create. And
they can also support you by following you on the upcoming Devin Townsend tour.
Yeah, come say hi. I'll be there making lights blink, hopefully working on music in the downtime. Actually, that's the perfect plan.
Awesome. So where can people find you online, social media, and follow you and what you're doing?
Mike St. Jean, either .com or Twitter / I actually deleted Twitter like months ago now, and I think for my mental health, it was one of the best things that I ever did. I still can't release the grip on Instagram, but it's like there is this feeling like, oh, I should be quote unquote promoting myself, whether it's for employment or this again, like the person was saying, when I put out music, I want people to hear it, and that's a great way to get in touch with them. But it's really hard to use these things as output and not also as input. That's why I got rid of Twitter, was because I would just get pissed off at something and like type a bunch of like, oh, fuck this and this person or whatever, and send it out into the world. And I'm like, oh, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
And then otherwise it's just like, it's like, you wake up in the morning and like make some coffee and sit down and then just stare into like a dumpster fire of civilization. It's just,
that's so
Twitter
true.
Is so intense.
Twitter's the worst too.
It's great. I mean, yeah. It's really intense.
I mean,
and it just wasn't, I don't think it was really helping my state of being at all.
Oh no, I don't mind Instagram, and that's because I was a photographer for years. So it's obviously more visual, and I kind of like that aspect of it. And Facebook, I just mute people that I don't want to talk to, or just, whatever. But Twitter is just, I don't know, maybe I just don't have enough of a grasp on Twitter to be able to get rid of the people that or at least mute them, so I don't see the crap I don't want to hear. I guess that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
But
that's the irony of it, though, is that they are these echo chambers of what we want to see. I think ironically is because obviously we're curating who we follow and what we see.
Yep.
And although I guess the part where it gets ugly is when I'm, for example, following a political person that I believe in, support, and want to hear from, and then I read the comments to their posts sometimes, and it's like,
yeah,
all these haters gonna hate and trollers gonna troll and all that. But it's ironic that we are creating these echo chambers, and then somehow they turn so ugly. And then ironically with Instagram, we also create these echo chambers of what we want to see and what we want to follow, but by seeing so much like epic made for Instagram content, I at least personally get anxiety being like, wow, like all of these people are doing this amazing stuff and I'm sitting here staring at my phone kind of thing. I find it really hard to let go of that.
For me, what happened with Instagram, I was a photographer for years, and my wife and I had started a family. Kind of had to get out of it to get a job with a lot steadier income and insurance and all the good stuff. But Instagram actually kind of flipped the switch back to me for my photography. And so I've got a little bit of a soft spot for that, because it really helped rekindle my love of photography and getting back into it. So I've got a little bit of a soft spot for that one.
Yeah, and it's such a visual medium, obviously. I think that there is value to all of these networking tools if you use them the right way. I sometimes have a hard time using them the right way and just end up giving myself anxiety and stressing myself out. But they are obviously there's a benefit to them for sure.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I've taken up a lot of your night. Thank you so much for spending so much time with me and talking about your career and the music and what you're up to. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, not at all. Thank you so much for taking the time and for a cool conversation. It's been good to get out of my head and chat for more than 20 minutes with someone still about work, but not entirely about work.
Yeah.
Not work for work's sake. Yeah, it's super cool. Thank you so much.
I'm so
yeah, no, totally. It's been a blast. I will be honest, I was really in my own head and not thinking I was going to enjoy myself, but I had a great time.
Oh, I'm glad you did. I really am.